Hello everyone, hope you're right. In today's video, I'm going to show you the vegetable and flower seeds which I'm sowing today. And this is the first week of March. And I'm going to start my tomato seeds and cabbage and cauliflower seeds. I did start some cauliflower seeds last month as well. So this cauliflower is year round variety. So it can be started from January to March indoors and outdoors March to June. So there is plenty of time for you to start your cauliflower seeds, and this variety grows really well for me. I grew them last year as well, and this year I'm going to sow few seeds every month, so I keep harvesting them throughout the year. Next I have got cabbage seeds, which is autumn winter variety, so they take a long time to produce. So I'm going to start in the first week of March, and hopefully I will be able to harvest them in October November. And I have got lots of tomato seeds. I grew them last year as well, and some of them were quite good and some of them were not so good. So this first column didn't grow really well for me. This is Super Marmite, Roma Italian and Moneymaker tomatoes. They were the first ones to catch the blight last year in September. So I had to harvest them unripe and ripen them on the kitchen counter, and they didn't produce much. And this column here on the left side was the most successful seeds. These are Sun Gold F1 and Yellow Pear, and they grew really well for me. I harvested a lot of them and they were sweet and tasty. And this middle column here was okay. And so basically I'm going to grow all of them again this year, but I will be growing them in lesser quantity. So if you want to know more about my experience of growing these many tomato varieties last year, I will include the link in the description box. You can check it out. With regards to flower seeds, today I'm going to sow my cornflower seeds, which I collected myself, scabios, which I grew last year as well, and I only had 3 or 4 plants, but they were so beautiful. I wish I could have more of them, so I'm going to try again this year if I can get more germination. And last I am going to sow Luxbar seeds, which did not germinate at all for me last year. So let's see what happens this year. I started them in winter sowing as well, and I am seeing some action which I will be sharing soon, so keep watching for updates. So I have got this recycled plastic pot which has holes at the bottom, which helps in drainage, and I'm going to fill it with multi-purpose compost, which is nice and loose and moist. And wind just blew off my seeds. It is really windy today. So I'm going to sow my Moneymaker tomato seeds in here. I have got Moneymaker tomato seeds for like 2 or 3 years now, so they may be running old. So I want to use all of them, so I'm going to sow them quite thick, and if all of them germinate, I will be transplanting them in separate crops and giving the gifts to friends and family. So I'm going to use all my Moneymaker tomato seeds. Also in previous years I have found they are not quite resistant to blight, so they catch blight really quick in September, October, and then I have to open the tomatoes inside. So I have got a video where I have shown you how to ripe tomatoes indoors. I will include the link in the description box if you want to check it out. So I'm going to use all my Moneymaker tomato seeds, and maybe I won't buy those seeds again. And here I have put my label in. It is important to label your seeds properly if you are going to sow too many seeds, so you can distinguish which one is what. So I'm going to sprinkle all my seeds on the surface and spread them as evenly as possible, and cover them with a fine thin layer of compost. And I will also cover my seeds with perlite. This year I'm using perlite to cover my seed starts, because I have found the growth of algae and fungi on the top surface because we are really humid here. So just to avoid that, I'm going to cover all my seeds with perlite. You don't have to do that if you live somewhere dry. They also help with moisture retention, so even if you live somewhere dry and you cover your seeds with perlite, it will help with moisture retention, so you won't have to water that much. So I'm going to cover my seeds. I have labeled it, and I'm going to cover with perlite. So that's all done with Moneymaker tomato seeds, and the same way I'm going to sow all my other seeds. Also, my compost is pre-moistened, which means when I squish it in my hand, it is wet, but it doesn't drip the water. And I'm not going to water afterwards. So here I have got this 24 seed starting tray, and I'm going to sow the rest of tomato varieties in this seed starting tray. And the same principles I will follow. Fill the tray with multi-purpose compost which is pre-moistened, not overly wet, and nice and loose. Pack the compost in the cells so there are no air pockets, and then sprinkle the seeds on the surface. I will be sowing 2 to 3 seeds per cell, and then cover them with a fine layer of compost and perlite. And I'll be putting my tomato seeds in the windowsill near the radiator where it is nice and warm, so they germinate in 7 to 10 days for me. And this tray has 24 cells in it, and I have got 7 other tomato varieties. As I said, 2 of them, Super Marmaid and Roma Italian, didn't grow really well for me, so I'm going to sow only 2 cells each of those varieties, and the rest I will divide in other 5 varieties. So I'll be sowing more of yellow pear and sun gold. And tiny Tim and tomato tumbler are alright. They are small dwarf tomato varieties which can be easily grown in pots. So I'll be dedicating 4 cells to each of those varieties, and I'll be sowing gardener's delight in 4 as well. So let's see how it works. I'm going to label my seeds so I know where I have sown which variety, and later on I will pot them up in bigger pots separately. So I'll be sharing all the updates with you. I post my gardening videos regularly, so I encourage you to subscribe to my channel so you keep updated about my gardening videos. So here I have got my cabbage and cauliflower seeds. The process of sowing these seeds is same. I have got a 16 cell tray here, and I'm going to sow half of them with cauliflower seeds and half of them with cabbage seeds. I will not put this indoors. I will keep it in my greenhouse, which is technically cold frame, so it is like no added heating or light. Cauliflowers and cabbages are cold weather crops, so you don't need additional heating for them to germinate. If you do provide additional heating, they will germinate faster, but after that you need to move them outside, or they can go bolting. So I'm going to start them in my greenhouse, and they grow well for me there. I have already got 2 cauliflower plants in my greenhouse which I started in fall, and they are growing well and ready to be potted on. I grew cauliflowers and cabbages in small pots last year, and I could harvest small heads in fall. So if you don't have much space, you can still grow your cabbages and cauliflowers in small pots like 5-liter pots, 10-liter pots. So you can grow your own cabbages and cauliflowers, and they taste much better than store-bought. Also, you can start other brassica seeds like Brussels sprouts, broccoli in this month, March. And we are here in zone 8 UK, which is quite mild, not too cold or too warm. So these things grow well for us here in UK as long as you cover them so they don't get damaged by pests. Now I'm going to sow my scabious and larkspur seeds. I have got this 16 cell tray again, which I'm going to sow half of larkspur and half of scabious. As I said, larkspur did not germinate for me last year, and they do need a certification period, so I started them by winter sowing method this January, and I'm seeing some action which is quite hopeful, and I'll be sharing the updates soon on my channel. So let's see, just for comparison, I'm going to start them in these seed starting trays as well. I'll keeping it in my greenhouse, which is not very warm, so I hope they do okay, they germinate for me. And with scabious, I had 3 to 4 plants which were all white, so I wish I could have more plants, the purple ones as well. They look really beautiful and they attract the pollinators crazy. So I'm going to also scatter sow these seeds, so I'll be sowing few seeds every month to see how they go, and then I will be have longer flowering season for these plants. Lastly, I'm going to sow my cornflower seeds today, which I collected myself year before last year. I didn't grow cornflowers last year, but they are really beautiful, so I missed them. So I'm going to sow my seeds this year. They look really beautiful and they grow well. They like cool weather, so they germinate fast and they put a really beautiful show in late spring, early summer, and pollinators love them. So I'm going to grow them again this year. So I have a detailed video on growing cornflowers from seed to harvest on my channel, which I will link in the description box. So if you are interested, you can check it out. I have shown in detail how to grow cornflowers successfully in pots from seeds to flowers and then collecting the seeds. So I hope you enjoyed watching today's video, and these are the seeds which I'm sowing today. But there are plenty more seeds which I will be direct sowing in my garden in coming weeks in March. So I'll encourage you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my gardening videos. Please like this video and leave your feedback in comments. Thank you very much for watching today. See you next time. Bye.